Greetings, beloved souls. I am Navjeet, a seeker hailing from the enchanted land of India. My journey, sparked by a divine discontent, led me through the realms of meditation, healing, and ancient yogic practices. Along this path, I have been graced to connect with the multitude of enlightened beings from the cosmos. Why do I share these channeled messages with you? It is not just a privilege, it's a sacred duty. Because these transmissions, gifted to me by various galactic beings, offer a guided light towards higher consciousness. They unveil insights into the unfolding tapestry of existence, providing glimpses into probable events, revealing transformative humanitarian projects, our hidden history, and illuminating the spiritual evolution of humanity. This is not just information, it's an invitation to embark on a collective journey of awakening. Join me as we explore the cosmic wisdom shared by these benevolent beings, understanding our place in this vast multiverse. I am deeply honored to share a channeled encounter with the celestial luminary, Archangel Michael, the divine warrior and protector of the cosmos. In the vast cosmic tapestry, Archangel Michael stands as a beacon of divine protection and unwavering strength. His angelic presence transcends realms, reaching across the cosmic expanse to grace us with his wisdom and celestial guidance. Who is Archangel Michael? He is a timeless being, a cosmic warrior, committed to the illumination of our collective path. His essence extends beyond the angelic dimensions, resonating with the heartbeat of the cosmos. Archangel Michael is the embodiment of unwavering courage, a celestial force dedicated to shielding and guiding humanity through the intricate dance of existence. As we navigate the currents of this extraordinary planetary evolution, Archangel Michael emerges as a steadfast ally. In the upcoming channel transmission, be attuned to the swift rhythm of Archangel Michael's messages, his words, his energy, like a cosmic symphony, which echo the timeless truths that transcend the limitations of our earthly existence. So, dear souls of radiant light, I present to you the channeled essence of Archangel Michael.
Greetings, let divine will be done, let divine will be done, let divine will be done. I am Archangel Michael. I come forth at this time, and as this channel has invoked through the divine will, yes it is, with great joy and divine power, divine authority, we can say, through divine source that I come forth today. And as Ashtar and others have shared, in a sense, and others who are part of this channel would say, the who's who in the cosmic directory, that we all play a certain role. And it's not better or less than, it's equal. We have different levels of responsibility. And for I and others termed archangels, and we work a lot with the Elohim, all different cosmic beings of light are united. But today it is on my honor to connect with you, because I would say, and it has been referred to also, that you have been a guardian, and the guardians, and many who have been light warriors, who have been a part of battles, so to be say, of balancing the universe. It's all about balance. Of course, love being the most powerful force that allows from divine source, but sometimes we have to use tough love on certain forces to, where in a sense that there is a need to bring more balance into all things, and we're evolving, we're going. And so for I and my other half Lady Faith and all the beings who are united in fellowship will enhance and embody the Christ frequency, the divine sacred energies. And so it is, I bring more of this to you today. Help you help yourself to the greater strength as the guardian that you are, the warrior of peace, but the warrior also taking action energetically, of standing, holding the line, and shall we say, being strong and anchoring in. And the sense of your free will aligned with divine will. Now, I have discussed this through this channel. The channel has shared, and Ashtar has talked about it also, because it is an important point, I like to say, that because there's a lot of ways to, as they say, using the expression, when you're invoking divine will and you want the best, and you don't want to be allowing distractions or things to interfere with your intent. Intent is called 9/10 of the law, so to speak. So we're looking at the intent. We're looking at the pure heart alignment of what you are attempting to do. And so it is with that purity of the divine will, of you're aligning your free will with divine will. And it's been discussed before, and I want to emphasize this point today. It can never be emphasized enough, because sometimes being on the duality of the earth level and then what the imbalanced forces have done to confuse often, to distort the image, to distort the focus. And so why the need to constantly update, constantly fine-tune yourself, getting your moral compass as fine-tuned as you can. And so, but aligning with free will, with divine will, with a pure heart. And I mention this because it's important to really realize this point, because there are going to be moments of challenge, and that's the nature of planet Earth. It's a challenging planet. And so being a strong guardian, aligning your free will with divine will, and when you emphasize that, it allows you to connoiter, allows you to travel forward without being thrown off track so much. Your crap deflector. Or as they say, put on the armor of God and Goddess, both the divine masculine and divine feminine. So putting on the armor of God itself represents a strengthening of your auric field, that which is around you, that which allows you to filter out all of the unnecessary, again, distractions and attempts by the imbalanced forces to try to distort the reality, the unconscious opinions and theories. I use that phrase because sometimes there is many, even on the higher realms, we have, we say, very passionate philosophical conversations where there's moments of agree to disagree. We still love one another. We still are in fellowship. And I bring this up because in the sense that with the imbalanced forces who have always tried to create division, well, we're attempting to bring more unity, beyond religion, beyond beliefs, what you have in common spiritually, energetically. And this is one of your, if we say, peeves, so to speak, about how spirituality itself, consciousness, frequency, energy of divine source, understanding it in a very pure way before there was a lot of, shall we say, man's misinterpretation or putting distortion, putting a spin upon certain universal truths. It's been said that in the sense of the word of God, the divine truths that have been come to earth, unfortunately, once they got on the earth level, there was a lot of distortion. And I'm bringing this up because the energy is suggesting here. It's not like it's set in concrete that you can't change and alter it. But there is an energy indicating in this timeline that we are now in, and continues to build up momentum, that there are going to be a lot of things that have been hidden behind the scenes. And that is also known as disclosure. But the personal sense of you, our brother, and how your association, relationship, interactions with various individuals, and even society itself, where you live at this point, even though it was brought out that in the earlier session, that there is an aspect of destiny to travel, to go other places, and to spread your light, to expand your light and your influence toward others, to help them help themselves. But life is a two-way street. So you're going to also gain a lot of wonderful sense of fellowship, starting new friendships and orientations of a lot of old friends from long ago, who are also guardians and warriors of light also, who stand firm. And many times you had died for certain causes. Of course, we're realizing the difference between where one stands in true, pure truth versus one standing in a situation where one is feeling obligated. Because now obligations of upholding divine plan is one thing, but obligations of human mortal kinds of existence, where people have, they mean well, but they're projecting and putting a spin on something because of aberrations in their awareness. And I bring this up because there's going to be a number of things that all of humanity in different ways, but for you it will be a personal, your own unique personal sense of it, of individuals who have been convinced, put a lot of energy, investment into creating things a certain way. And there's an innovative, creative side to you. That is what a guardian many times does, as has to take certain stands or point things out, which is not sometimes easy when others have, again, investment. Not a negative judgment to say there are ego investments by various different levels of society, down from the way the cabal had control itself to many of its own minions, those related to the dark side, who tried to enslave humanity. And you have battled on behalf of humanity many times, both on this planet and other worlds, as part of the Federation, which has now become the alliance of all beings who are joined together for something bigger than themselves, something that's truly worth, quote, even dying for, to a sense. But it actually, so often in past times, where as one learns to utilize the energies, you become more efficient at getting rid of the little, shall we say, the little areas where imbalance force, little weaknesses, quote, in the field, and you strengthen those. You find solutions, you find protocols, you find all kinds of fabulous, we can say, ideas, orientations of doing things, how to improve, how to increase and enhance your capacity. And in so doing, because you really desire to make it win-win, everyone else is benefited. And as a guardian to reality, we can say, as a warrior for truth, for integrity, and to expose those areas of hypocrisy, shall we say, of where some would say, well, this is a law for thee, but not for me. That's what the power lead on earth have demonstrated. Again, we can forgive them, but there is a sense of justice, of fairness, of getting rid of things that are exclusive to one and ignoring the rights and needs of everyone else. And you were very humanitarian oriented in your guardianship, and you struggled sometimes because you wanted to be ultralistic. And others would say, you got to be a little more realistic about this. Well, their idea of realism was kind of stark and depressing. Not that they didn't have reasons for believing or going that way, but you wanted to find a way of breakthroughs. Well, it's like come to Jesus moment, as some would call it in some aspects of human society, where you have a revelation, you have an epiphany, you have a wonderful revelation and realization, self-realization. It took you a while to get to that point, and then, of course, your desire to share, and it's a beautiful vision. But as you attempt to explain, you attempt to share, you find that human words do not adequately explain how beautiful it actually is. But eventually, you become able, in your consciousness, as other great masters have done, that it's radiating from you. Beyond your human words, you're just radiating the message in an energy field. And so as you face certain challenges of people who you feel you would like to help themselves, but because they're stuck in their ways, people can find get kind of stuck in their way. They mean well, but the imbalance force that try to create more of a, it's like the analogy of an earth vehicle with its tires going around in a muddy rut, or as it tries to go forward, it goes deeper and deeper into the muddy rut, because instead of getting out of the rut, the tires just create more of a hole there, and it stays. So learning to create traction, momentum, and it kind of overcoming gravity, so to speak. And you're going to have experiences, literally, as far as your gifts of the spirit, ability, as they start to activate, you may be surprised at what may happen sometimes when you least expect it. Some miraculous thing, and you're trying to figure out, well, how did that happen? Well, maybe it was your own abilities that were coming online, or it can be a combination, or other beings who were showing you something, giving you a little demonstration, a little taste of what the ability is to feel that greater expression of spiritual power from the divine creation. So there's a lot of, shall we say, being able to, beyond conscious opinions and theories, as I mentioned, where as you tune your moral compass and you get more and more attuned to what would make things a little easier and how to do it faster without being so bogged down in all the mundane stuff that sometimes human earthians tend to get bogged down in up to now. But as you have more options, both your consciousness expands, you have more advanced technologies that free up your life, you have more time to be of service and feel more joy and fulfillment, more options available to you. And it's not such a heavy burden that human society has often been because of the way the cabal deep state, as they have termed, have programmed. So they are being exposed right now intensely. And There's a lot of flare back, a lot of the cornering of an animal as an example, and they get very dangerous before they're totally gone. And so there's energy suggesting over these kind of next 1 to 2, 3, 4 years, going through the transition that fully exposes and removes these energies, well, for the most part, from society. There may be still some residues, quote, later on, a few ground truths we can say that are still necessary for a few individuals to finally acknowledge what's actually been going on behind the scenes, because as has been pointed out, that this is a movie in one sense playing out to red pill, as it's been called, a lot of people who need to kind of open up to a more expanded, open understanding. And so being able to come again from that perception of wisdom, because there's going to be moments you're going to be kind of, shall we say, your own I am presence connected with the great I am, the divine source, is going to call upon you, so to speak, to do certain things that you might not normally be inclined to do. In other words, you're going to be your higher self is testing you to see how much you can stretch, how much you can expand, adapt. It's almost like the phoenix bird rising from the ashes, where you kind of awaken and rise up into a greater sense of spiritual power. And with that power is greater peace, inner peace, that you know how to utilize that spiritual power coming from a divine creation to help a lot of people. Above and beyond, even before the physical material things related to humanitarian global projects become available, your energy, your consciousness, your field. And this was something too, was mentioned usually through this channel. Esther likes to mention the harmonic vibrational scale relative to where are you vibrating on this scale. And it was pointed out before, of course, it's our fellow Elohim and higher other cosmic beings of light who operate the Merkaba light ships, or one has to vibrate at least 200 on that vibrational scale. And to point out that you are above that 200, and we can say you're going to be rapidly rising more and more as one goes forward. From this day forward will continue. And of course, the playing back the session also helping you raise your frequency, shift things around. Now may be a while before you feel initially like, in a very pragmatic sense, yes, there's definitely changes. Because initially it's a little more subtle, but it builds up momentum. Now, sometimes there can be sudden breakthroughs, something you at least, quote, weren't expecting, and then, as we said, maybe activation of a power briefly, and then it goes away a little while, and then it allows you to give what Ashtar would call perspective and contrast, where you it's like they use the analogy of one uses a camera and they're adjusting it. You see where shadow and light is. You can now see the light going into the shadows. Everything is being lit up. It's like a cave where one has, and others have used this analogy, and you're in that cave and it's dark, and then suddenly you shine a light in it, and you see, as others have said, that you see a lot of things that you didn't see before. They were there, but you just didn't notice them because there was so much darkness and shadow. But now it's all being lit up. Every nook and cranny is being revealed. And so it's learning with love to not to reject things, but also to put things in, shall we say, philosophically in such a way it won't overwhelm people. This is the thing that those term the White House on planet Earth that we work with and in the decision how they would drip things out gradually, and then eventually, like the analogy of the faucet, turning it on, because others know that if you turn on a fire hose and hit the person, it knocks it for a loop, plus they're not open to it. But if you do it slowly over a period of time, then you kind of increase the disclosure aspect of things. And so that's going to be, as we say, a flare back, so to speak. People, because of, some would call it ego investment, where they have a hard time getting outside the box, looking outside the box and seeing other levels of reality, and understanding this, and your ability to tune into other frequencies, dimensions, realms, and seeing how the divine plan, understanding it a lot more, and how you can help others understand beyond the religious and to the spiritual, the divine, holy, spiritual sacredness of life itself, which of course the imbalance force has tried to destroy. So there's a lot of pain and suffering that's been buried that's going to be coming up for a lot of humans. So you're going to be finding yourself being a buffer sometimes, being also a surrogate. And other beings like Voltra, a cosmic psychotherapist, he's an expert. Well, there are times and other different beings will be giving kind of insight to help you, download things to you. You may, sometimes you'll sense it. Other times you may hear words being spoken. There's many different forms of that, but it all relates to the reason I have come today often. And when I and others who are coming, we have come through this channel. Often I'm in the second, shall we say, in line to come forth to kind of give a little more focus on the divine will, the divine plan, but how it affects you and involves you at an individual, more personal level, what the choices, the decisions you can have to make a difference. And I just want to say again, I started out kind of, and even using the phrase of cutting the chase, where there's a lot of things that many people on earth feel are required. Oh, this is a requirement. I can't go without it. And then certainly certain challenges come up and they're forced to adapt their modus operandi and to realize that maybe there'll be an easier way that they hadn't thought about, which also allows the divine plan to connect more quickly, where it doesn't have to work through so many layers of stuff. We'll call it stuff that has been accumulated over a long period of time. To cut to the chase means you letting the divine will, the divine plan, the divine energies to keep things in balance and order and allow an acceleration and upliftment and expansion. It allows more beauty and joy and fulfillment to also manifest. And so some people, because of their modus operandi, and you're going to find yourself coming up telepathically, intuitively when you're around people, all of a sudden you'll feel guided to tell them. And you realize there is, of course, this issue sometimes, and we understand that, where you feel like, well, it's not my place to give advice. You're not really giving advice, you're giving suggestions. That's what we do. We try to always come from a point of giving insights, giving suggestions, but not trying to advise you about anything. We share what we have to share, but it's still up to you and your sovereignty and free will to choose whether you would choose to embrace it or you incorporate some of what we share into your life. But your ability to see it from as others use that phrase on Earth, a 30,000 foot view, looking down, or 100,000 foot. In other words, you'll have a lot of different perspectives when you're around people. They'll come to you intuitively. You'll kind of sense where the quote they're coming from. In other words, you'll sense how your way of communicating to each person will be adaptable and change. But what you're attempting to do, not only help each person get more in touch with the sense of divine, the divine plan, the divine rules, so to speak, that govern the universe, how to more easily connoiter all of the concentrations of confusion and distraction and things on Earth, and how to each person cut to the chase where they don't have to be so bogged down, how to make it more efficient, how to, without wasting so much time and energy, how to get things done more effectively, and how to be more empowered through the divine plan. And so we would just say that, and you may make a few mistakes, and this is something we like to emphasize. I like to make my Astro has said this many times, and I don't think we can repeat this too many times, because as we like to say to you, when you're coming from with pure intent, and you feel like, oh crap, I messed this thing up. And we say, no, you didn't mess it up. In fact, sometimes you're supposed to go through the, shall we say, a little detour. It may appear like, oh my God, you feel like you got off course? But actually, maybe it was all part of the plan that you get off the course a little bit to get better perspective and contrast and be able to see it from different perspectives. But you always get back on course much more fine-tuned than ever before. So sometimes you go on a little detour, but that's purposely done to give you that perspective and to realize how much good you actually have done and how many blessings you actually have. It's often when humanity has lost certain things and that it doesn't dawn on them. So being in that state as you attempt to be, a state of being fortunate, appreciating what you have, but knowing that as you think about all the things that are blessings, greater blessings are yet to manifest for you. And the more you keep things in perspective in that way, and helping everyone else also realize what are their priorities. So the sense of making sure, so when you invoke divine plan, the divine will, the divine source itself will give you, and we've discussed this before, the more you invoke divine will, your free will aligned with divine will, the more free will is actually given to you. Others have made this point because you show the maturity and responsibility to handle that greater amount of free will. And so actually more doors open for you. And so this is what's going to, you're going to discover more and more about this. More blessings will flow magnetically drawn to you. But there's been some energies and some forces because of some past life things. Some in astrology perhaps might call these energies retrograde, because they've been kind of keeping some aspects of you in a holding pattern, because there's some passionate things you want, areas you want to get inspired and you want to get involved in, but you've been held back, like a lot of humanity has, for various different reasons. And now a lot of those holds, those walls, those barriers, all kinds of things are about to be removed. So get ready, fasten your seatbelt. It's like the Six Flag ride, upside down carnival kind of thing. Oh my God, a kind of thing. But yet you're securely held in the seat. The centrifugal force won't allow you to be pulled out in that kind of way. So just having that faith and also patience enough while pushing the envelope for the things you can do. So we're just trying to give a little bit of kind of an overview of a few dynamics here. That's relating again of you invoking divine will, and it's just a sense of saying, okay, I yearn to do everything the highest and the best I possibly can for divine creation, divine source, and not only, but it's the ultimate win-win, because divine creation always tries to bless you. It's not it's not a matter of trying to do something to be rewarded. It's that the rewards come automatically when you're in the sense of being selfless, you thinking of others, but you also need to think of yourself too. And these are some of the decisions can sometimes be a little difficult. Could be when things haven't been cleared out, where you can see more order. You have a greater sense of every action you take will have an equal and opposite reaction. You get more in touch with the outcome of, like a domino effect of things. You set one domino, and then all the other dominoes fall. And you start, because there's some people in life that before you meet them, they have a lot of confusion, chaos. They're kind of stuck in this old, stale kind of energy. And it'll be like you go in there, and it was like the energy just gets stirred up. As Rokan, one of our fellow team members, and a fellow Elohim, who's a master of innovation, he always says he likes to stir the soup, give them something to talk about. So even if they get angry, at least they're alive. They got enough emotional, they'll be able to have passion about something. Because there's some people who some would say don't seem very much alive. They just seem to be sitting there, not very involved in what's going on. So life is going to challenge them somewhat. So the more that you rise to the occasion and welcome that sense of challenge, the more things flow with that courage, that fearlessness. It comes from knowing your divine purpose, being able to define it a lot more without having to waste so much time, again, as we said, with all the distraction, being able to cut to the chase, as we said, more effectively, which allows the more of the divine will to come around you, to benefit you, to help you, to support you, and so over the next year or two, there's kind of a perfecting of this process of fine-tuning your moral compass and helping many souls who in the past, in some situation, would have gone to what is termed fisticuffs, so to speak, and swords and everything. But now there's more unification beyond religious dogma into the spiritual purity of divine creation itself. And so I just wanted to kind of summarize some aspects here that are being highlighted. And as I related, and other fellow archangels and those of us and fellow Elohim that we work with, all types of cosmic beings alike, we all have different kind of physiological ways, we can say, of looking at it, but we all work together for the good of everyone. And we, of course, are putting a lot of focus on Earth, both collectively for the whole planet and for you today. I'm putting a lot of special focus and the downloading of the higher light covenants that are Elohim friends. Their job is to do this with their consciousness technologies. So we work with them on many projects in different ways. We unite, we come together in fellowship. And as I said earlier, sometimes we have moments of agree to disagree, and that's fine, okay. We know how that there's always a bound foundation of love, a bridge, a rainbow bridge, we can say, from that person's passionate position with another person's differing passionate position. Now, sometimes it may seem like a paradox. You know what a paradox is? Two conflicting truths apparently occupying the same space, so to speak. There's often time travel paradoxes, some speak of, different situations. But there's always a way that even for divine creation may create what appear to be paradoxes as a way of causing you to really, as we say, do a lot of soul searching, a lot of focusing, learning to discern, to fine-tune yourself, to purposely challenging humanity to how can we make both of these so-called paradoxical situations come into harmony? How can we increase the unification of what's going on to allow the divine will, the divine plan to work more easily without having to be pain and suffering to learn the hard way, the school of hard knocks, it's been called. Get hit over the head with a 2x4. That's not a good way to do. It's easier if you can learn through joy and beauty and upliftment. We think that's a better way to learn, to get the hint. And so some people have to learn the hard way. It's like when after divine source has given one as we call synchronicity, and this channel has met some too, and you may meet somebody in the same way, or people who have been hit by lightning, so to speak. Literally, divine source smited thee, not out of anger, but to get their attention. They brought all these synchronicities, but they just thought those were coincidences. And now suddenly they got their attention. And that's an extreme case, of course, but some souls are worth salvaging when they really have a pure heart, but they're messed up with so much other stuff, pain, suffering, and things, and so they're looking at life a little cynically and just trying to ignore certain things they think it's coincidence, and all of a sudden they start being reminded that yes, divine source sometimes works in strange and mysterious ways. At least it appears that way till one gets deeper understanding how to be again more effective. Well, without being too long-winded and accused of being a motor mouth like our friend Ashtar sometimes is, we all get passionate and kind of long-winded sometimes, but we would open up now, if I might be of help and service through the divine will, to help you help yourself, because that also helps the universe. Every time we put special attention on a person, you're also helping the divine will and the divine potential of all things come into self-realization and manifestation. So what might be of help, my brother, today, as we continue to let the divine energy flow here? What might I help clarify for you at this time?
Or what do you think, the way that I'm doing things, is there something that you could recommend that I can improve upon? Or is there an alternate path also, or another perspective or another point of view also that I'm missing? And if I pursue that, then my purpose can be handled better. So these are the first two things regarding my purpose that comes to my mind.
Well, we would first of all say it is also our honor, others have expressed this, our honor to connect with you today. We feel very honored to, in my sense of connecting with you this time, at this point in the grand scheme of things, because I've been honored to know many guardians who have been very strong, to be strong in the ways where you need to be strong. This is one of the challenges in the sense where you apply your focus and strength, when to use tough love, when to be gentle in love, but still firm. And especially with relationships and things on earth, how do you orient yourself? How do you improve and enhance and let it be a very, without it being, shall we say, a challenging kind of where it's almost like gears turning and then they get stuck. And so we're wanting to make things oiled. And I'm using an analogy here, where you oil something so it moves smoothly without constantly having to jerk and be stuck because of other impurities and things that are part of the system or part of the consciousness that you're dealing with on Earth. So when you ask the thing about alternative paths, we kind of related to what I already shared about more options open to you. I mean, what is being shown here is an expansion and your ability of how to, in loving yourself, loving and appreciating even the so-called balances, quote, every soul has areas of challenge, quote. So there's things that you have, challenges you have faced, and it's learning to let go of. Well, we're looking at things in a kind of a balanced philosophical way. Again, what you get behind, how much energy you put on something versus how do you work with time, the so-called sense of time, and when enough time to everything that's really important to you. So it's kind of a sense of what we call a spiritual house cleaning of, again, letting go of things and kind of being this channel sometimes uses the term brutally honest. In other words, being honest with looking at things clearly beyond concepts, opinions, and theories. What do you need to let go of, and what do you need to emphasize? So there's lots of strengths in quote areas that, creatively speaking, you're going to be able to expand the creativity area, being open to creative inspiration and spontaneity, while still being discipline. And that's kind of like related to your right and left brain, where you're going to kind of be able to infuse the right and left brain aspect, where you can be intuitive. There's that kind of genius quality. There's that kind of beyond many who are what this channel would call educated fools, where they learn a lot of things. Brain learn a lot of things, but sometimes there's a lot of brainwashing and indoctrination. And so learning to think on their own, being original, but still embracing other people's ideas. So there's a sense of letting go of a lot of past, you could say, training, indoctrination, both in many lifetimes and ages, right up to this life. There are things that you were going through to get perspective, so that you could help become, as we mentioned, the bridge earlier, to create a bridge between you and other people you wanted to unite with, but because of their requirements, the rigid kinds of ways how you have to do things, they weren't really opening to accept uniqueness in other people in their ranks or that particular organization and society, different things that were going on. So you will be a bridge by just letting that, we could say there's parts of you that are going to be start coming up now that create these, we call them flexible, adaptable kinds of qualities. Being flexible, and that's one thing also in the physical body, when it's flexible and their ideas, and they're able to change their mind a little bit and be open to other people, then the body stays youthful and young and flexible. People who get old and decrepit, quote unquote, because the energy gets stale and stuck and can't move. And so certain things such as yoga and other things that are, should we say, a way of keeping things flexible. So it is in one's mind, yoga of the mind, consciousness, spirituality itself, changing, altering, and being flexible, while still making emphasis upon the areas that will always, shall we say, be advantageous for you. Qualities that embody, again, the right and left brain, the intuitive, but also being very specific, being, shall we say, pragmatic, but still being spontaneous. When you have a schedule and you feel like you need to do certain things and spontaneity occurs, how do you balance that? Because you want to allow the spontaneity to be activated at times without being too rigid about how things have to be done. Sometimes you have to be disciplined, but there's more and more flexibility as you go forward. That will be an area to open up to that, to be comfortable with the flexibility when there doesn't seem to be order sometimes, because it's like open season, that it's okay at other times when it has to be more rigid and disciplined in necessary situations. But more and more of the planet is going to come out of these rigid mindsets. And so you've been in many situations, lifetimes and past, of how things had to be a certain way. Maybe it was because of the caste systems, the laws, the regulations and things. And as one becomes more sovereign in themselves, in your soul, in your consciousness, in your mind, then you begin to realize that bureaucracies are not so necessary, that you don't need the governments, you the people. This is a concept that, as was embodied in the United States of America, kind of embodied that sense of sovereignty. And so it is that many other countries are going to be embracing more of that idea, while being open to the masters and the guides and teachers. It's also being your own teacher and your own guide and your own master, and yet you're fine-tuning your instrument to understand the signals of divine creation more fully. So there's going to be much more balance and peace inside yourself, because of a balancing all these areas of your life. And strengths and weaknesses, quote unquote, as they're referred to, are just aspects that you put in your personality to learn in this lifetime. And so it's like almost as if the past won't be so important. It had effect on you, but you learn the wisdom and then you let go of everything else. The wisdom will be very intact and having to do with your DNA RNA activating. And so some of these things are just going to happen without you having to do too much. It's just the things that you do or the protocols that strengthen the good, the areas you want to highlight, and the areas that you're also letting go of. You're just doing things that are going to be the natural things are going to happen from within. And you, as you play back this session, also the encodements and as well as the older encodements will continue to activate in your consciousness. We just feel that there's a lot of areas that not to be attached to let go of and let the past. It played a role, but it's not the new timeline that keeps it's becoming more and more fine-tuned. You're feeling as you let go of certain things that you might have thought at one time was so important, and you open up and embrace the new or higher part of your nature. And other beings off planet also that you're destined to reconnect with, part of the extended cosmic family. Your perspective continues to grow, and you find more and more bridges to connect with people and bring people together who may go about things differently. In the past, often wars were created because of someone said something the wrong way, looked at somebody the wrong way. Now it's more mellow, and let's come together and sit down and fellowship and counsel. Let's discuss all these things, and we can find numerous solutions that make it a win-win for everybody. And that's what I see you doing. What is being shown here is that you're going to be a very strong catalyst. You have been through experiences in your past, developing strengths so you could pull it all together. You could throw out what was not necessary, even though at the time it was necessary, and that were positions you were operating on, but what you're merging into, what you're transforming, metamorphosing, shall we say. And kind of like the analogy of the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. That's all, and we're trying to summarize here because of the time frame here. It's being revealed. And so you will feel sometimes looking through the eyes of butterfly, being able to fly around and not be limited by time and space. And so this is kind of a feeling more of that sense of timelessness, getting rid of the linear sense of time, which has been necessary for a while, but as many all of the present forms of calendars from the Gregorian on back, that's all going to be leaving because Earth is merging into a higher 5D and above type consciousness. So a lot of things that were interpreted one way, you're going to kind of reevaluate and interpret them quite different as you expand your consciousness. And we stand by to help whenever we can, help you help yourself. And again, there's many other beings too who are biting at the bit, chaffing at the bit can reach out to you. And it'll become quite normal to have numerous different beings communicate, speak with you directly. And like this channel refers to the who's who in the cosmic directory thing, because you on Earth are our friends. We've been with you in the councils, you've been involved, and you were, of course, during what was termed the Orion Wars and even the Timeline Wars that have happened, battling forces that wanted to manipulate and control Earth for very nasty, evil reasons, and took a long time. Because humanity was stuck in certain patterns. Now those, we call them old adhesion contracts, have been removed, and those forces can no longer manipulate humanity. Humanity is regaining its sovereignty. So you're going to be a very, through all the struggles and experiences you've had, you're reaching a point, metamorphosing into this more well-rounded and, as we say, master of being able to, it's like being able to use your consciousness to literally, it's like mind over matter. Sometimes it may be like, I don't mind, I don't mind, it doesn't matter. Depending on the things you're just getting rid of it, and no longer at this point. And as you kind of reevaluate over the coming days, weeks, and months, you take these moments to kind of reevaluate, like you're almost looking at a graph or a meter, and there's things going up and down, metering, like when mentioned, the harmonic vibrational scale, where you continue to rise beyond the 200 into higher and higher states, and so all these gifts of the spirit, Elohim powers and abilities start coming online, and the body, of course, is changing from carbon-based to silicon to crystalline. It's act of a higher state, and that's also happening physiologically. It's a natural thing that planet is going through the Great Awakening, planetary ascension. So again, all that it's kind of like sometimes you change your mind and then rechange your mind again, which is okay. It's just matter you may have to make it in such a struggle. It'll be more the divine source, divine energy, and we stand by to be of help to help you help yourself. But of course, it's been said before, Astra said, and others, that your actions give us mandated authority to step in. So the lifting of the non-interference law aspect is starting to occur, and so it's going to get more exciting as we can directly interact a little closer, feeling our presence a little bit more, and so you can get more clear communications directly as we go forward. So again, we're trying to summarize a lot of aspects, and these are just some of the things that are popping up here to put more focus and emphasis on, while letting go of some other things that you might have thought were important. They played their role, but it's not, but it's the congruent sense of who you are energetically, and as we look at this energy field of who you are and how you're defining, how you're changing, transforming into a more effective, empowered individual, a lot of things are dropping away. And so now the greater philosophical sense of peace, inner peace, and what's important to you, the priorities, start being kind of repositioned. And they may reposition again, and that's okay. And so, as we've said many times, things that one may think, well, that was a waste of time. No, it wasn't. It had its role. It's just that people sometimes think when they start out on a journey and they go on a detour that they got thrown off course. No, they didn't. That was actually done to give them that, as we said earlier, the perspective, to let you see the bigger perspective that you weren't capable of seeing before. You'll see more of the details and the choices and doors opening. And you, as the old story, when the shoe fits, wear it. And wearing multiple hats, symbolizing multiple abilities that are going to start coming out from within you. You are an example as your DNA starts activating, and you will meet others around the planet having their own unique form, but yet collectively you're all going through this transformation of the body has to go through in consciousness, and so all areas of pain and suffering are going to come up, but with more compassion and detachment. You're not going to be sucked into the emotional vortex. You're going to have more just compassion and detachment. You're going to see it and looking at a mood without having to feel the intense emotions behind the pain and suffering that brought you to that point in the journey. And now your free will is more aligned with divine will. We're easily able to accomplish with less, again, stress and conditions. So we again we just want to say we're very supportive, and to give yourself much more credit as you go forward here. Pat yourself on the back. You read this way, and you've got this place this far in the journey, and so much more is going to happen in a shorter period of time. It's like taking your breath away. It's like the old saying expression, you ain't seen anything yet, because there's so much on the horizon. You're approaching the horizon event. And so there's going to be some very challenging moments, and not to be attached to it. Having faith that even if the food situation gets a little challenging, it'll only be for a short time. It's not going to be weeks and months. It's more like days, perhaps. If certain things become unavailable, know that you're being taken care of energetically in other ways to compensate for those inconveniences for a little while. Some people have to reach the precipice. Some people have to struggle a little more before they finally have the epiphany. So you have to be a little patient with other people, or they're struggling to have their particular unique form of that epiphany, so we can all come together in fellowship. And we, of course, are putting a lot of energy investment to help make this transition as calm as possible without depriving you of the epiphanies and breakthroughs that can only occur at this phase through a more difficult form of learning. And as we said, it's going to become more increasingly joyous and beautiful without having to put too much physical effort. You put a lot of elbow grease. You roll up your sleeves symbolically. You build up momentum. It didn't seem like anything was going on, and finally the momentum game caught up to you, so to speak. And so it can be a little intense when the epiphanies start going rapidly, as we said, like the domino thing. So it's going to continue to increase. And so there's a lot more things going to be revealed. You're related to the priorities that are important. Now, just loving is it kind of clears the slate. It doesn't have to be an eye for an eye at all. The cosmic law of grace, as Kuan Yin and other beings brought it, is making it available for humanity to clear all karma and regain a sense of self-worth and purpose, and that we love you, everyone on earth. We love all of you. And so it's not a negative judgment, but for forces who have evil intent, that's quite different. We still are loving, but we stand firm and will not allow these forces to take advantage any longer. But some people they've been made to feel that they're responsible for a lot of people dying. And it's just like the phrase we sometimes say, you are not a victim, but that doesn't mean you haven't been victimized. by forces who have ulterior motives and agendas. Now they're being forced to vacate, that they're not only longer energy specific to the energy you're moving into. So with the med beds coming in and other things, no, some people will be amazed at how much more opportunity. Literally, you can live forever if you choose to do so. Some people choose to vacate their body over a period of time, but if you can keep rejuvenating it and bring back a sense of the emotional psychological thing, then there's all kinds of wonderful things that can come out of that. And we are very inspired to see this opportunity to what old, because age is a very relative thing. Knowing how there are people who look very young but they feel old, there are people who look very older but they have this youthful attitude. See, age is really a very relative thing. And there's different kinds of age. It's like this channel always likes to say, how many times you've been around the sun? Around the sun is not your real true age. Your true age is physiological. It's really more in that sense. So they kind of are reevaluating your attitude and things, how you relate to things, especially as time itself, you have a new relationship with time, having all the time in the universe, as we can say, and rather than the old things that have held one back, or the karmic, the wounds and suffering that has occurred. We'd like to focus now on the potential that is being revealed here. It's been kind of under wraps. It's been kind of hidden away. Now everything's being removed. All the doors are opening and everything is being revealed. All the skeletons are dancing out of the closets, which means there's new storage space that you can use. The skeletons were using the space up. Now the skeletons are going to be gone, and now there's all this space that can be utilized for beautiful things that will help humanity. And that's kind of with the focus, that the aspect of your higher self coming in, the other beings helping you to kind of reevaluate what are your priorities, your options and opportunities. And it's like, it's symbolic. There's an image. It's kind of a symbolic thing of somebody reaching out and shaking your hand, which sometimes in the old way, before all these contractual lawyer agreements with small print, when people shook hands, that was more binding in ancient times than somebody signing a contract and it's in court and it's held up in court, all these small print things. Oh my God, I didn't read the small print. Crap, they have power over me. Well, now the ancient, the more traditional, sacred, holy, shaking hands, and that's more binding, more true than other things where lawyers and people who keep it caught up in the system and they keep gaining more profit off the suffering and the struggle. That has all kind of come to an end. And so there's things that were hidden in limbo being revealed, because you see, things that were, gold was valued for spiritual reasons. It, of course, has been part of the banking system when it was used to back certain currencies, and it had more benevolent reason. But now, as the way that's now, have taken control of the dark, what the dark ones have been doing, and using things for benevolent reasons. So there's a lot of this green energy that represents this abundance that related to divine will coming in to be, you receiving it. And it's like fireworks going, because on the image it kind of represents celebration, and because what has been termed the Saragasara is going to be rolling out all over the planet as the imbalanced ones are removed out of the way and the abundance can flow. Of course, eventually there won't be an economic system, but for a while, the funding of things is extremely important. So we would just say, prepare yourself. There's some really awesome moments that are of what you can have the ability to do for a lot of people. So that all so-called shortcomings and so-called imbalanced energies, that's all removed, because you're in such a flow of joy and expectation and of loving and patting yourself on the back and saying, this too, I can move forward now. The things of the past don't have any relevance anymore, even though I chose to experience that. Yeah, because Earth is the only planet you can go through struggle. The school of Hanar, now it is learning through joy and beauty, and that's the direction. The emphasis is really strong upon that, leaving behind, letting go of, dissipating all the stuff that's being alchemically removed, transmuted. And so we're trying to summarize here. Again, as we go forward here again, are there some other areas right now, getting other questions that we can answer, give more clarity to?
Yes. So activates a natural desire in me to join their ranks, if I may so say, and have some kind of direct access to beings who wish to help me with knowledge, with guidance, with discernment questions of yes or no, or right or wrong. Because sometimes in the battles of life, sometimes it would be helpful to have information at hand, or in certain situations it would be helpful to have some kind of access to immediate questions which would help me in making the right decision, because I also have a tendency to make a lot of wrong decisions. What I've also learned, what I've also experienced so far is, when I start to work out of love, when I start to think out of my heart, which I've done a lot lately, it has kind of shifted gears, in so to speak. But and I actually am able to, or rather, the experiences that have now come into my life are actually more harmonious. There's less stress and there's less of friction and pulling and pushing. Things are more harmonious. I feel it is what I should have done a long time, but I guess, like you said, everything is a learning experience. So things are getting better. It's just that over and above that, I was wondering what extra or what additional thing I would need to do in order to be able to communicate at will with the guides and with the ascended masters, etc.
Well,
That's
first
my
of all, your I am presence, that part of you that connects you with the great I am that I am, the divine source itself, is being fine tuned, your moral compass. So, even though we act to help you help yourself, we act to help you clarify in your journey. We don't give advice, we give suggestions. And sometimes our influences, as I say, our influence towards you, when you open up with your pure heart as you are, asking, well, I need more clarity in it. But at the same time, we allow you. See, when you say or say that you made some bad decisions, we don't want to say they're bad. You allowed yourself to make some mistakes. It was written into your script, because it's only by mistakes that you can gain the perspective again. So we just want you to feel that everything that may be judged as oh, it was a bad mistake or a bad choice isn't it can be defined that way in one level, but actually it helped contribute to your evolvement, your development of who you are, learning lessons of pitfalls, quote unquote, through numerous lifetimes, to a point where we stand by to help you. And everyone's life every mission is unique. You're all pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. So as again, when you can really allow more of that sense, as you're starting to do, it's not better or less or more or less, kind of every one of you is just as important for the whole mission. Because if one piece is missing, if one individual is missing, the jigsaw puzzle is incomplete. And so in that sense, you are just as important as everyone else, not less, not more, equal in that sense. And how you allow yourself, push yourself, so to speak, to open up and allow things to occur, the potential of your being will become more and more activated. So as you need more help, see, sometimes when, as depending on the situation, sometimes we have to kind of stand off and let you, quote, struggle a little bit, because that gives you a certain sense of appreciation and a certain perspective, as we're then when we got allowed, quote, your higher self, so to speak, also allows you to have a greater awakening. And as we said, as I mentioned, about learning through joy and beauty, because the greater sense of appreciation and gratitude has been well formed within you. And so you don't have to have those tests of perspective of comparing one thing of not having it as comparing it while having it. You're essentially, you develop more of a natural state of appreciation and gratitude, and feeling more fortunate, and so that creates more abundance also, just by that very state of knowing that all this that's important to you, of anything that you could put into words that gives meaning to life, more manifestations of that. You become more and more part of the flow of wonderful things. And so, so as we say, it's okay to compare as far as using individuals as an inspiration of something that you would like to experience more of. It won't be exactly like them, but it would be similar, but still unique in its own way. So their life compensates constantly with blessings in ways you may not even be aware that they're blessings. And there's a lot of things that we do in a very anonymous way to help you energetically behind the scenes, protecting as much as we can, while still not depriving you of the experiences you felt you needed to go through. Because remember, this is your last embodiment and what was part of the struggle. This life right now represents the ending of an old thing and the beginning of a new thing. It's the first time in human history, both individually and collectively, so many things are taking place to finally eliminate all the negative forces out of creation from the planet. Literally, cleansing of the heavens, cleansing of the planet is in full stream right now, very massively. Things are being revealed, exposed, all the crimes are being brought out, wounds are being healed, planetary wounds are being healed. So you are coming into a very unique time of history to be here. Do you realize how many trillions, quadruple, how many zeros, how many thousands of zeros behind a one can we say of souls who wanted to come to Earth, but there was only a certain number of physical bodies even available? And as we pointed out sometimes, there have been some souls who thought, oh, I don't know, there is this cosmic bulletin board. We have a posting up here. Oh, that's not my cup of tea. And then everyone said, well, I'll take that space. But those of you who came in as the original 144,000, you do, in a sense, tend to have first dibs, meaning you have a greater choice opportunity than others who weren't part of that original core group because you made a vow and you wanted to fulfill that. And the vow was you would keep coming back until finally, this your last life, you would finally have helped, as the rest of the 144,000 did, which then increased to a greater number of volunteers. That now almost you could say a half of the world's population is technically from somewhere else. That's the greatest number ever in the history of the planet that are here actually right now representing off-world beings and the extended cosmic family and higher realms and world. So to be here is in itself very profound, is being part of a group of beings who kept coming here until finally in the last 100 or so years that the light reached a point, actually in 1956 to be exact, when the being known as Lord Sanat Kumara could go back, and Gautama Buddha actually took over with the help of all the other light workers and ground crew, were continuing to hold the light and continuing to get the last 49% of darkness removed from the planet. But that 49% was very concentrated from a huge number of crimes against humanity, crimes against children, satanic things. And they all needed to be exposed and healed and removed from existence as if it never existed before. But humanity had to acknowledge what was going on the planet that they didn't want to take a look at. Personal responsibility is both personal and also related responsibilities for the planet. So now everything and anything that has ever been withheld and hidden away has been coming out to be revealed until humanity had to acknowledge what was going on. Because there are many in spiritual work who feel that if they focus at all on negative things, they feel that they're giving power to it. It's only when you have an emotional charge and you can't, you need to acknowledge, so that's what humanity's starting to do in a very big way, acknowledge, and then forgive oneself and forgive what has happened, but also not know that one can never forget. Meaning, it's not that you need to remember the memories of what happened, but you remember in the sense of having wisdom, the quality of wisdom, the wider protection and purity becomes gold mellow of the wisdom. And so now you have the gold of wisdom through these experiences, and now as all the things that have been hidden are revealed, which is in itself can be like a near-death experience for many people when they have to face certain things that they didn't want to deal with. But now it's in their face, they have to acknowledge it, and once they've acknowledged the nature of it, they learn the lesson, then it's removed and never to have to repeat history ever again. And so there's a lot of different opinions about things, but the more humanity acknowledges things, the quicker the golden age will come, the quicker pain and suffering will cease to be, and sooner you will come into joy, beauty, ecstasy, nirvanic state of being. And so we just wish to bless you at this time and say it is wonderful to have a chance to connect with you as one of many of the valiant and noble, brave, courageous light workers, warriors, guardians who have been coming to this planet and have been clearing. And now there are many things you are to experience and that are yet to be profound in the short period of time. More is happening in a short period of time than has happened over the long period of human history. Literally, more is being compressed at this point to be taken care of, removed, transmuted, so then the golden age can truly come and Earth will continue to evolve into a higher state of consciousness. I want to bless you. I'm Archangel Michael, and for all the my legions of light, rainbow warriors, guardians, archangels, Elohim, the celestial host, we stand by to support you, to help you, as above, so below, and so it is.